You could. I liked what you had before, where you had it sort of pointed down.
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
Is it in the road of the camera?
Is it? I mean, you can still see them, right? But this is called slop. Like, you couldn't really get any odder.
I think we're happy with that.
Okay, that's good.
We can still see our faces.
Well, it is spooky season, right?
Yeah.
You guys have costumes lined up? Because this will be out on Halloween, so, I mean, people won't... You don't need to keep it secret. You know? People will be watching this after they've seen you, presumably. So what do you got ready to go?
I think Rigby could pull off a leprechaun pretty well. Something like
It's
that.
because of my shortness, I guess.
Yeah.
Touche.
Yeah.
Axel could go as Dr. Eggman.
I will fuck you up.
What are your thoughts on Eggman versus Robotnik? Anyone have a preference? This is a very deep cut Sonic
I
lore.
think the treaty of Sonic and Dr. Eggman go far beyond that.
Okay.
But I'm not political, so I'm not going to
Damn, alright.
put my opinion on that.
I got no comment.
How could you say something so controversial, yet so brave? Did you guys ever think about calling your band Robotnik?
Well, I don't think so. Did we even run any other ideas
No, it was
after band solo?
No, that was it.
It's sort of-
You already had the page established.
We bought the domain.
Yeah.
pick the dudes out, and then we're just like, yeah, whatever, that sounds good.
Yep.
Alrighty. Well, speaking of picking dudes out, I'm very glad that I picked you dudes out of the Brisbane scene to come onto the show today. Episode 22 of the SLOP Podcast. A show where, you know, we like to interview some Brisbane artists, whether they are musicians, filmmakers, other kinds of artists. I don't know. We're living in a society where everyone's kind of doing a lot of different things.
What was your most recent interview?
The last interview we had was with a comedian, a stand-up comedian and improviser, Chris Martin, who is now performing in Coldplay
Nice.
as their lead singer.
That's pretty big.
But people don't know that he started as a 36-year-old comedian from Brisbane.
Oh.
So go check that out. Chris Martin. Very fun. But forget about that. We're here with Band Solo, which is a Brisbane-based band that have been kicking around since, I don't know, how old are you guys?
2.5.
2.5?
Cracking on to 3.
Wow. And how do you feel like this is a new beginning of sorts for the band? Do you feel like you're sort of reaching an evolution?
Yeah, it actually does feel like that a bit. With our drummer parting ways with us, bless him, we saw opportunity to find a new drummer, somebody that maybe can play a different style. We weren't necessarily looking for the same style.
Okay.
And yeah, we were just looking for something that could like shake things up a bit.
Allows
Okay.
us to write differently, I guess, put us in a different mindset, so it's a great opportunity for that. New
Very
beginnings.
cool. It's we'll get onto this later. I mean, I guess the process of the band, but it's interesting how you sort of think like, you know, the drummer has a lot of input in the way that you write the songs, I suppose. Because you
Definitely.
sort of think that it would start with some of like the lyrics, or maybe some of like the the guitar riffs. At least from my perspective as a
Yeah.
non-musician.
Yeah, no, we
But
lost.
it's fascinating.
We lost the third of band solo when he left. I would say.
Third.
Yep.
It's a very emotional day.
We like to call the drummer and the bassist the pocket, because that's where
Mm,
the foundation of our songs come from. So
that's right. And you don't want to lose a pocket.
you don't want to lose one pocket.
Could lose a wallet, a couple keys.
So
Who knows?
definitely.
Lost my
So-
way for a while there, just drifting.
Well, you guys have something you wanted to announce, right? Speaking of this evolution of the band. Speaking of drumming.
Yeah, that's correct. We have an introduction to do.
His name is redacted.
Welcome to the band, Daniel Wall.
Congratulations. This is his first time meeting the rest of the band. How does it feel?
Yep.
Feels pretty good to see these guys. Like, yeah.
Pretty sure we're
So
nothing like our
so-
dating profiles, but it'll be fine.
Yeah, well, there's always a bit of that, like, okay.
I'm not actually 6 foot tall. I'm 5'11".
He answered our ad on Gumtree looking for a drummer. and yeah, that's
Wow.
just how we hit it off.
There you go. I didn't know they had a section of lost drummers on Gumtree.
Yeah,
but-
wanted to buy a drummer.
Yeah.
We had so many inquiries.
Selling one drummer. Welcome to episode 22 of the SLOP Podcast. If you haven't listened to the show before, it's an interview series that fills your ears with wild discussions, fascinating stories, and unique insights from Australia's most promising creators like band Solo. Now that we are fully introduced to the entirety of the, what would you call this, phase 2 of the band. This is like the sequel trilogy to the original Star Wars trilogy. Actually, no, some people are going to hate that. Some people are going to be like, fuck that. Let's say that you're like the prequels right now.
Prequels.
You're new. You got some new technology going on,
We do.
but people will grow to love it, I think.
Definitely.
Some shit analogy.
And if they don't, they're wrong.
Okay. Fair enough, fair enough. Well, now that you're all here, let's go down. Introduce yourselves, talk a little about your role in the band, and just give us a little insight into who you are and why you are.
No problem. I'm Ben. I'm the singer of band Solo, songwriter. We all generally write, but lyricist and whatnot. I'm the guy that tries to pump the crowd, not successfully all the time.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm Rigby. G'day. I'm the guitarist of band Solo. Some would say I'm the leader.
No one said
Who?
that.
Who's
no,
saying that?
No one has ever said that. It's just funny just to see the front man bite at that.
He's too busy pumping the crowd.
Yeah, he's too busy pumping the crowd.
Someone's gotta be
someone's
there,
gotta-
yeah.
Someone's got to do it. But I just play some banging tunes on the guitar and get amongst it.
Very cool. And you also, you're doing some Facebook stuff, I guess.
Yeah,
Running some pages.
running some pages and stuff.
Very cool.
I'm Axel. I'm the bass player. I'm the actual hype guy because I'm usually in the audience forcing people to dance, and I mean that literally. I will find someone if they're not dancing. I will stand there with them, and I'll be like, "Man, you're making this uncomfortable for me. We both need to go to the dance floor."
It's funny because if you're not dancing, you're at the bar ordering a drink.
Yeah,
mid-set.
usually, I mean, it's fantastic trying to drink while you're in the middle of a freaking chorus.
It's quite handy having a wireless.
Wow.
Yeah, so yeah. It's your turn.
I'm Dan. I'm the new drummer for band Solo.
Mm-hmm.
I hit things with sticks sometimes and
Oh.
make some cool sounds, and
That's cool.
yeah,
Do you hit them with the stick sometimes if they're not
Um,
behaving?
occasionally
Okay.
if they need it.
That's
yeah.
fair. Yeah.
Only if we ask real nicely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you guys not behaving?
Please and thank
I can't see that. All right. Well, speaking of behaving, let's get on with the rest of the podcast. Because I have a couple of questions I really want to get answered.
All right.
Because the first one is, I think, an intrinsic one, but I mean, I'm sensing a little bit of heated discussion here. Are you guys a Star Wars reference, or are you guys just a cool name?
Yes, we are a Star Wars reference.
So, how did the name become a thing? Because we were talking about alternate names, but how? What's the story here?
Well, the Star Wars rumor is false. We do not have any ties to Disney.
Please don't sue us.
Actually, originally, my name is Ben Solomon, so I just cut it short and changed the E to an A for band Solo.
Yeah.
And then upon forming a band, I asked them, I said, "Do you guys want to change the name?" And they said no. And that's where we went from there.
The rest is history.
Yep.
So was it kind of cool sitting in a movie theater, sort of December 2015, and then seeing Kylo Ren be revealed as Ben Solo, which is basically like your name?
That was pretty awesome, to be honest.
Yeah.
I got to admit.
Got a
But
bit of representation there.
now there's just too many Star Wars rumors.
Yeah.
It's starting to take its toll.
That's a good point. Well,
Become a burden.
I was kind of thinking, I was like, it's kind of interesting. It's like band. It's almost like you guys are like, you've banned the solo. Like you don't want to be solo. You've banned it. So you're always together. Like you're sort of, it's like a, whatever they call it's like a double negative where it's
Yeah.
like
That's actually fair.
the opposite of band solo is like together or group,
It's pretty good.
I don't know.
I think the definition can be subjective.
I'm just going to go to your Genius page and it'll be written there or something, the lyrics.
Yeah. Do some editing on our Wikipedia.
Do you guys have a is that your job to write the lyric meanings? You guys should get it to write your genius lyrics or something. That'd be cool.
Every other word.
Oh, I'd love to do it, to be honest. I mean, I'm free
Yeah,
occasionally.
we could get you on.
Sweet. Do you have a genius page?
No,
We got to get on this.
we don't even have music out yet.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Well, you do have. All right. Well, my next question is, right? You've got the name. You've been performing for 2 years, I suppose. You said you're 2.5 years old, right? I'm assuming you pretty much started performing straight out of the gate, and you'd been in other bands previously, or you'd had other sorts of acts and stuff, right?
Yes,
Right,
I was
kind
a
of.
successful magician 3 years before forming this band.
Right.
And pretty much, I decided that there was no money in that, and I need to get some Oompa Loompas to help me out. So cue the Oompa Loompas, my minions.
I know where you live.
Don't know if that's a compliment or an insult.
I'm just waiting for somebody to bite back.
So we've got an ex-magician. What are the backgrounds of everyone else? And we'll start. Actually, let's start at the end here with our new drummer, because obviously you've just joined.
Yeah.
Give us how did you meet these guys? How did they find you? And what did you do before?
Definitely wasn't a kidnapping. Don't listen to him.
Yeah, not at all. They didn't show up in a white van or anything. Ben just sent me a message and was like, "Hey, do you want to audition?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then that's it.
Damn.
We've seen
Yeah.
Dan play in a few bands before
Okay.
joining us, and he's a phenomenal drummer, and that's sort of the person we're sort of looking at
Okay.
to fill in the shoes of Kieran.
Yeah,
Bless his soul.
we definitely liked what we saw, so put the offer out there.
We're just gonna refer to Kieran and our.
R.I.P.
Yeah. So, what is it like auditioning to be a drummer? Is it sort of like, what do you get? Like, do you just come in and then these guys sit there behind a table and be like, "All right, play something"? Like,
Basically, yeah.
yeah. Do you like film it and then take no? Like, how does that work? Did you have other people that you auditioned?
Yeah,
like,
we had a few people auditioning, but yeah, no, Dan was pretty
just move the mic.
on top.
Yeah, there you go.
So
That's better.
yeah, he came in and played one of his songs, and then we just all jammed to our songs and see what he sort of brings to the table, and
It's cool.
yeah, definitely different groove and different sort of style, but definitely worth it,
Very
Yeah.
cool.
Lots of other drummers we auditioned were actually really promising as well. It made it a really hard choice for us, but Dan had the full package. He's a multi-instrumentalist, so we really struck the jackpot, I reckon, with Dan.
So essentially, it's not just the ability to play the drums. It's also just how you guys get along, sort of just how you guys sort of fit together. That's cool.
Definitely.
I like that.
Every band sort of, you need a bit of a bromance happening. If there's no bromance there, it's a tense sort of
There you go.
situation.
Tips for bands out there: you got to have a bromance.
Bromance.
Put a ring on it.
Put a ring on.
Put a ring on what exactly? Are we?
Into the camera.
Nice. That's step number 2. So there you go. Today we're gonna end with a list of tips for upcoming bands. Speaking of just tips for bands, how do you guys sort of deal with the Brisbane scene? Like, you guys have been playing a few gigs. I saw you guys had an article in the news. You were opening for a band. This
Yeah.
was
Good old mental as anything.
at a festival.
Yeah,
Is that-
Chinchilla Watermelon Festival. It's a pretty good festival we played at.
yeah. So how does something like that happen? How do you put that together? Do you just sort of send the word out?
Well, yeah, I just called up Mental as Anything and it was like, you guys want a gig?
Yeah.
And yeah, they were free, so they were keen on it. And then pretty much we needed a reason to play this gig, so we formed a watermelon festival. We created that and just built it around it.
That's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
So you guys fans of watermelon?
No.
And that's how we got our first negative.
Watermelon
review
is
on
80% water. And
Really?
I don't know why
'Cause he
anyone
said
would
that
like
in front
it.
of 11,000 freaking people who were there for watermelons.
So yeah, the Watermelon
Wow.
Festival's sort of like a tradition. Happens every second year. So they've grown over the years, and it's sort of, I came across, a family friend that works in the committee, and they were looking for a band, and hit us up, and we were pretty gratefully to accept the offer, and it was awesome.
Very cool.
Just to see if people and
Yeah, that's crazy. Did anyone crowd surf, or is that not allowed?
We had a lot of kids down the front dancing because it's a family-friendly event, so I don't think we could really get a bunch of kids to carry us. That would be almost slavery, I think. So.
Well,
but Axel definitely was in that sort of kid mosh pit.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah.
It was quite upsetting. It kind of happened, and just as I realised, I was like, oh, there's a toddler there that's like right at the right heights for all of my controls. And I look up, and this person's just shoved this big camera in my face, and I'm just like, oh, Jesus.
That's
this
crazy.
is the worst time for you to be right in front of me. Because I've just like realised that like, there is like all these eyes at this level of these like metal things.
Yeah.
Was not having a good moment.
Scary. There you go.
Yeah, very scary.
So, what other do you have sort of some places that you play regularly where because it seems like you guys took a bit of a hiatus recently to sort of work things out. But where were you playing previous to that? What was going on?
When we started first playing, we were playing a lot of shows at Rick's, as I think most bands should start out.
Yeah.
Get a feel for
Step number 3:
the
play at
community.
Rick's.
Play at Rick's.
Become friends with Chad.
Yeah. Step number 4.
Good guy.
What's step number 4?
Play at TOMCAT.
Play at
Play at
TOMCAT.
TOMCAT. And create a drink.
Yeah, we've got a drink at TOMCAT.
You have a drink at TOMCAT?
Yeah.
All right. What is the what's the drink?
Well, we all drink rum and dries with lime in it.
Hell
and,
yeah.
Basically, we go to the bar, and the bar guys there know us as band solo, and they just go, oh, another band solo, and we're like, yeah. So we started spreading it around to all the peeps at TOMCAT, and they started going up to the bar and saying, can I get a band solo?
That's awesome.
It's the same price as basics for everyone out there. And if you go up and you say, can I get a band solo, use our discount code, I'm pretty sure you'll get it for 5% off.
Wow. That's brilliant.
Yep.
Pro tips out there.
That's number 5. Right?
I'm going to put that in the YouTube description. It's going to be like, use the promo code band solo.
TOMCAT
Yeah.
5% off.
Awesome. Well, I've had a lot of bands on the podcast, but none of them have had their own drink. So at the moment, you guys are at the top of our drink leaderboard.
We're bigger than Chris Martin.
Yeah, you're currently bigger. That's what they say. It's Chris Martin has a lot of things, but he doesn't have a drink at TOMCAT, the best bar in Brisbane.
Can't take that away from us.
It really is. All right, so you mentioned when you guys first started. I want to know how you guys got together because there's a couple of things.
Tricked us all.
I can answer that.
So there's a story.
So
Please.
Obviously, I met all these lads at university at James C. Academy.
Right.
And at the start of my degree there, I knew Axel and Kieran pretty well, but never got to really know Ben because he was sort of the cool kid that hung out the back and just
he was
never
always wearing his mask and cloak and wandering around with a lightsaber.
It didn't help him in the long run. He dropped out, but but yeah. So and then I got put in a sort of like a ensemble band with Ben, and I really liked what he was writing and stuff. And I said, "Hey man, we should start a band." And he was sort of looking for just a 2-piece, like a duo, and I was just like, "Yeah, nah, stuff that." We're getting a band. So I hit up Axel and Kieran, and they sort of jumped on board. And then I'd already booked in a rehearsal for that week, and everything just sort of clicked.
Wow. So you guys kind of all met up. You're like, "Where's the party at?" And you're like, "There's no party. We're a band. Signed the contract."
We're basically.
Yeah.
So
I like that. Tip number 6.
Force people to be in your band.
Number 6. Yeah. Trick people into being in your band, and then name it after someone else.
Help.
Okay, that's awesome. So it says here on I think it's your Facebook page. It says that Band Solo are an indie rock band who love long walks on the beach.
That is true.
You like taking naps.
Yep.
Yeah. You like dogs.
Yeah, who doesn't like dogs?
It says taking naps and dogs. I wasn't sure if that meant taking naps and taking dogs.
We love taking dogs.
So
we love taking dobs as well.
And dobs. Right.
That was just.
But it says that you hate coriander, and I just really wanted to know why the hate.
I mean, I like coriander, but I don't know about these guys.
It's the stereotype. You have to hate it because everybody else hates
Is
it.
it like the stereotype where everyone hates Nickelback?
That's exactly.
Well, I'm sorry, but we love Nickelback.
I
here
love
at the Slop
Nickelback
Shack,
too.
So
Yeah.
unfortunately, you guys just went to number 2 on the leaderboard.
Thanks,
Let's
Ben.
see if you can crawl your way up at the end there. Yeah. But yeah. Well, would it be weird if I just like started putting coriander in band solos, like the drinks, and then just like
Actually, let me know how that goes.
yeah, just see how that tastes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna create my own drink. It's gonna be called a Ben Solo, and it's just gonna be yeah, a little bit of coriander, you know, a little bit of darkness within him, you know.
Sounds alright. I'll try it.
All
It's got to be in like a Star Wars cup. Too,
Yeah.
Just for him.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I like that. I like sort of the idea of sort of seeing the potential here, you know, sort of like planning it all out. But did you think that it would work out as well as it seems to have so far?
We've had a couple of speed bumps, so I don't think everything's as crystal clear as we've made it out to be. Just with recording issues and sort of things like that, and then as soon as we're ready to almost start promoting the album, we lose the drummer. So you know, we struggled a bit, but things have turned out pretty well for us. And hopefully when we start gigging again, like it's gonna really take off again. People
Yeah,
are gonna
yeah.
miss us. Hopefully, we've missed them. So yeah, I
That's
think
nice.
That's what we're aiming for.
Stay positive about the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah. You got to have a good story, and from what I've heard, it's a good story. I like it. When you're eventually on MTV and they're doing a documentary about you guys, you know, at
That'd
least
be
there's
fantastic.
a couple of Star Wars references in a Melon Festival. You know, that's kind of cool.
Definitely.
So you've got the new EP coming out next year, in quotation marks.
Possibly.
Do we have anything? Do you have a timeline you want to tease us with? Are you just going to start gigging again, doing a couple of shows, getting back into it? What's the plan?
Well, first things first, we're gonna have a relaunch show with Dan. So everybody's invited to that. You guys can come.
Yeah,
along,
where is it?
Feel free. It hasn't been organised yet.
Okay.
We're still in the rehearsal phase.
It's happening today
But-
here at Kelvin Grove
Yep.
in Z9507.
And yeah, we're pretty much looking to do that before the end of the year. So you can expect to see a show and then possibly an announcement for the EP to come out after Christmas.
Yeah,
So yeah.
very exciting. So you guys have how many songs have you released online that people can listen to?
We've got 3 tracks.
3 tracks.
They're sort of like demos, but just sort of gives you an idea of what Band Solo is about, I guess, on SoundCloud.
It's good. You definitely carved out a unique sound, which I enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But what do you play at gigs? Do you just have like a sort of a set list? Are you changing it up at the moment? Have you got some new songs coming in? Do you have some classics?
We've always got new songs coming. We're always writing. We're always, you know, hitting the lyrics. But
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we've got a couple of covers and stuff, so like our sort of own arrangements of
Okay,
covers
okay.
as well that we
Very
like
cool.
to throw in the mix.
Mhm.
And yeah, we like to make a good, strong foundation. We like to see people dance. You know,
Mhm.
so
Well, then, couple of questions just about the process. And you mentioned before about how losing the drummer changed like the songwriting process and how you guys put that together. So, as you guys are sort of working on the new songs now, how does it all come together? Are there a few different ways, or do you usually come in with like some lyrics and then, or does someone come up with a riff, or how does it all come together?
well, we normally jam for about an hour,
Mm.
just as a band, playing all sorts of freaky, weird stuff and whatever sort of sticks. You know, we take that and work on it.
Okay, very
Yeah.
cool.
Generally in our warm-ups is when our creative juices flow. So like if Axel's been playing a riff all day or just a bass line, then he'll start playing that and we just go from there, build
Mm.
upon it.
I
Yeah.
dig it. So collaborative process. So then, do you guys have to then just constantly like you find the song and then would you record like a demo and then you sort of listen back to it, make a few changes, or did you just keep playing it until eventually
we just keep playing
you
it.
find a version that
Yeah,
works?
I think actually we wrote one song in a day, less than a day, like 2 hours, and we had a gig that night, and we
Wow.
played it,
That's impressive.
and it actually went pretty good.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, so we all remembered it, luckily, that gig, but yeah, nuts.
So then when you play you have that song in one day, you played it, it goes well. Do you then say, all right, we're going to keep playing this in every set? Or do you think like we'll play it in specific places with specific audiences? How do you make a set list?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's down to you, man.
Yeah, depending on the crowd, really. So, a couple nights, maybe Monday nights or something, we might be playing a show where not many people can make it. So we usually like play our more chill songs and take it a bit easier. But we're still pumping the crowd, you know, getting to know what the crowd wants to do in the situation. Sometimes people just want to listen. Sometimes people want to dance. But we're usually really high energy. So what we're bringing is like big songs, very groovy, and just like, I don't know, we're just going skits, I guess.
Yeah. No, that's very cool. So then you've got the Brisbane scene. You got, obviously, you're competing with a lot of different bands, I suppose, for time and stuff like that. But do you also feel like it's pretty supportive? Like you meet a lot of people and they'll say like, oh, you should play here or don't play there, or how does that all come together with the other bands?
Yeah, I feel like there's heaps of support. I don't feel like there's any competition in the scene for us. We just love music, so we're pretty happy to be playing with other people.
Yeah, just to add on that, like every musician that we've sort of come across has just been pretty awesome and chill, good to chat with, and they offer us gigs to play with them, and we offer back, and
cool. Yeah.
you know, it's pretty.
I think people know like that if you're an asshole these days, you don't really get away with it for long. So it's just that's an extra tip. Tip number 7.
Number
I think we're up
7.
to.
Be friends with everyone.
Yeah, we better have a cool graphic
Be nice.
that
be
just
kind.
has the tips. There you go. Damn.
Except I have not bought the new FIFA. And
FIFA
I'm
hasn't really
boycotting
changed in
it.
20 years, I guess.
So-
But well, no, it sounds like you've really opened up the floor. Like it sounds like it's time that you prove that. You know
Yeah,
what I
who
mean?
wants to challenge me?
I'll challenge you in Halo.
How about we
Ah.
pick a real
Halo
game?
fan.
Pick a real game, Ben.
Alright, I'll verse you in Zelda.
Zelda.
Exactly.
You can't.
Exactly. We can play Dabo if
Skate.
you want.
Yeah, that's so true. All right. Well, we're gonna set this up. We're gonna have a band solo. I don't know. We can do FIFA. We'll have a whole bunch of games there. Well, my last question is, having a band is sort of an entrepreneurial activity where you're having to constantly promote yourself, constantly having photos taken, you know, social media, stuff like that. You guys are on like Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. Do you have anything that you have learnt specifically, or things that, how did you guys do you sort of base your model on other bands that you see, or do you just sort of see what works? How does it all come together?
I think over the past 2.5 years, you know, we've formed as a band not knowing as much as we do now. We've met a lot of musicians and a lot of people that have told us some great knowledge that has really helped us promote ourselves, I guess, as a band.
Cool.
As of how we sort of promote ourselves, I think that's sort of a Ben question.
Yeah, I'm running most of the socials. Probably tip I could say is post some memes.
Nice.
You know, engage to your audience, especially if your audience fits that demographic. But yeah, really just take advice. That's what we've been doing.
Make sure it's good advice too, not.
Even if it's not, as long as you hear the advice, then you should be sweet.
Okay. So tip number, what are we up to? 9, 8? Take
Some-
advice, no matter if it's good or bad.
I think
Listen.
I think the biggest advice we've gotten is know our audience. Don't know your audience, then you know you're shooting randomly.
Okay.
But
Okay.
know your target audience is definitely probably the biggest one.
We're aiming for cool kids, so if you're a cool kid, then hit us up.
What he said.
There you go. Well, you guys are pretty cool kids. So thanks for coming on the podcast
Thanks
today.
for having us.
Check out Millionaires on their SoundCloud page. It's a great song. and I hope you guys become millionaires.
One day.
Thank you. That is.
We'll see how it goes.
I love
See
all
how the
this.
relaunch and the EP happens, and I'm very excited. So thank you guys very much for coming on.
Thank you. for having us.
Where should people go to continue to find your gigs, information? Where should people go?
Go to TOMCAT and ask about us. If we're not there,
Get the
just
drink.
ask when we will be, and they'll answer back something witty and sarcastic. Find us on Facebook, find us on Instagram, you know, the usual, and expect to see some details emerging about our album, our EP in the future couple months.
Awesome. And make sure to look out for, in 1 year's time, a Halloween special where these guys just kill a bunch of kids with watermelons.
Perfect.
Dressed
Awesome.
as Star Wars.
All right. Thank you guys very much for coming on. I've appreciated your tips, your advice. That'll be a cool. We should make a post of just like band solos. Like, yeah, I'll give you guys that. Actually, you guys should like have
That
that.
sounds good.
That'd be really cool. All right. Make sure to like this if you like these guys, or like it if you don't like these guys. Just like it regardless. It really helps. Subscribe. Head to theslopshack.com where you can find all of our other shows, our podcasts. We've just launched 2 new shows recently. One of which we just posted basically 2 new episodes of. So make sure you check out those. We occasionally host events like a film festival that we had. So make sure you check out that. And, you know, just hang around, see some cool bands, and we'll make sure to get you guys back on in the future.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. It's been a fun episode. And if you guys give us a sign off. Do you guys have a sign off when you finish a gig? What happens?
We'll see you next Tuesday.
That's not it at all. It's usually we actually can't play another encore. They're yelling at us.
Get off the stage. All right, thank you guys for coming on. We'll see you next Tuesday.